It starts with a single undeniable truth: the relationship is over. The moment it ends feels like the ground has shifted beneath you, leaving you disoriented and grasping for something familiar. Everything you once relied on, the comfort of their presence, the shared routines, the plans for the future, suddenly dissolves into uncertainty. Accepting the breakup is the first and most crucial step toward detachment. It's the foundation for healing and the path to reclaiming your emotional independence. At first, the mind resists. It clings to fragments of hope, replaying moments from the relationship, searching for signs that things might still be salvaged. This is the stage of denial, where the heart refuses to believe that what you once cherished is now out of reach. You tell yourself, maybe they'll change their mind. Or, what if I had done things differently? These thoughts create a loop, keeping you tethered to a past that no longer exists. But here's the reality: detachment begins when you stop fighting against the truth. Acceptance doesn't mean you erase the memories or dismiss the love you felt. Instead, it's about acknowledging that this chapter of your life has ended. By letting go of the what-ifs and the maybes, you create space for something far more important: your healing. The urge to hold on can feel overwhelming. You may find yourself scrolling through old messages, revisiting photos, or replaying conversations in your mind. These habits, while comforting in the moment, only deepen the emotional attachment. To truly move forward, you must take intentional steps to create distance. Archive those messages, put away the photos, and resist the temptation to revisit places tied to shared memories. This isn't about erasing the past, but about protecting your present. As you begin to accept the breakup, questions may arise. Why did this happen? Could I have prevented it? Seeking answers is natural, but sometimes closure doesn't come from understanding the other person's actions. It comes from within. Instead of fixating on reasons beyond your control, focus on what this experience has taught you about yourself. Write your thoughts in a journal, pour out your feelings, reflect on what you've learned, and envision the person you want to become. Acceptance is not a linear process. Some days you'll feel like you're making progress, and on others, the weight of the breakup will return. That's okay. Healing isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Each small step you take, each moment of clarity, brings you closer to emotional freedom. In accepting the breakup, you're not just acknowledging an ending, you're embracing a beginning. Detachment is an act of self-love, a promise to yourself that you deserve peace, growth, and happiness beyond the confines of what was. And this moment, as painful as it may feel, is the first step toward building a life that is entirely your own. Detachment feels impossible when you're caught in an emotional knot. This knot is complex, woven with memories, hopes, and the deep emotional ties you built over time. To loosen it, you must first understand what keeps it so tightly bound. It's not just about the person you lost, it's about the parts of yourself that you anchored to them. When we invest in a relationship, we naturally intertwine our emotions, routines, and even identities with the other person. Their laughter becomes your comfort, their opinions shape your decisions, and their presence fills your empty spaces. Over time, they stop being just a person. They become a symbol of safety, validation, and purpose. When the relationship ends, it feels as though these pieces of yourself are torn away, leaving you hollow and searching for something to fill the void. But what truly keeps you attached isn't the person themselves, it's what they represent. Perhaps they made you feel valued in ways you struggled to find within yourself. Maybe they offered stability when your world felt uncertain, or they might have been the mirror in which you saw the version of yourself you most admired. These emotional dependencies create invisible threads that keep the knot intact, even when the relationship is over. To begin loosening these threads, it's crucial to identify them. Ask yourself, what am I truly missing? Is it the person, or is it how they made me feel? Often the answer reveals that it's not the individual you're holding on to, it's the sense of security, love, or purpose they provided. This realization is freeing because it shifts the focus from external loss to internal growth. Once you've identified these threads, the next step is acknowledging their influence on your behavior. Do you find yourself revisiting old memories, hoping to relive the emotions tied to them? Do you check their social media, seeking glimpses of a life you no longer share? These actions reinforce the knot, keeping you entangled in a relationship that exists only in your mind. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward breaking them. Detachment isn't about severing the knot in one swift motion. It's about gently unraveling it, thread by thread. Begin by creating new emotional anchors. If you found validation in their words, seek it within yourself by celebrating your accomplishments. If they provided stability, establish routines that ground you independently. And if they gave you purpose, explore passions and goals that reignite your sense of direction. Understanding the emotional knot isn't just about letting go. It's about reclaiming the pieces of yourself that you tied to someone else. Each thread you release brings you closer to a life where your worth, happiness, and purpose are no longer dependent on another person. This is the power of detachment, not the absence of love, but the presence of freedom. When a relationship ends, one of the most persistent questions lingers in your mind. Why? You search for answers as if they hold the key to your freedom, replaying conversations, analyzing their words, and dissecting your actions. The need for closure feels like a desperate thirst that must be quenched before you can move on. But here's the truth. Closure doesn't always come from understanding the why. It comes from letting go of the need to know. The desire for closure is natural. It stems from a need to make sense of what feels senseless, to assign meaning to the pain and bring order to the chaos of heartbreak. You believe that if you could just understand why things ended, the pieces would fall into place, and the pain would subside. But in reality, the pursuit of closure often leads to a deeper attachment. Every question you ask, every theory you create, ties you more tightly to the past. Sometimes, closure is elusive because the answers you seek may not exist. Perhaps your ex can't articulate their reasons, or their feelings shifted in ways they don't fully understand. Even if you were to receive an explanation, it might not align with the narrative you've built in your mind, leaving you feeling even more confused and stuck. This is why waiting for external closure is a trap. It keeps you tethered to a moment that has already passed. True closure begins when you stop looking outward and start looking inward. It's not about what they did or didn't do. It's about what you choose to carry forward. Ask yourself, does knowing why change the outcome? Does it make the breakup any less real? The answer, more often than not, is no. Recognizing this allows you to release the grip of those unanswered questions and redirect your energy toward healing. Letting go of the why doesn't mean dismissing your feelings or ignoring the past. It means shifting your focus from seeking explanations to finding peace within yourself. One powerful way to do this is through reflective writing. Grab a journal and pour out the questions that weigh on you, everything you wish you could ask or hear from your ex. But instead of waiting for their answers, write your own. Address these questions as if you're speaking to your past self, offering the comfort and wisdom you long for. This exercise is not about resolving every doubt, but about validating your emotions and reclaiming your narrative. Another step toward internal closure is practicing acceptance, This doesn't mean condoning their actions or pretending the pain doesn't exist. Acceptance is about acknowledging that what happened is now part of your story, and that it doesn't define you. By accepting the breakup as a chapter in your life rather than the entire book, you create space for new chapters to unfold. Lastly, remember that closure is not a single moment, but a series of choices. It's choosing to stop asking questions that can't be answered. It's choosing to forgive, not for their sake, but for your own peace. And it's choosing to focus on the present and the future, rather than being trapped in the past. Releasing the why is an act of liberation. It frees you from the endless cycle of analysis and allows you to step into a life where your peace is not contingent on explanations. Letting go of the need for closure doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means deciding that your healing matters more than your unanswered questions. And that decision is one of the most powerful steps toward detachment. When a relationship ends, it's common to place your ex on a pedestal. You might find yourself idealizing them, remembering only their best qualities, and replaying the moments when they made you feel loved and special. It's as if they become larger than life in your mind, an untouchable version of themselves that makes moving on feel impossible. But to truly detach, you must dismantle that pedestal and see your ex for what they are: human, imperfect, and no longer the source of your happiness. Idealization is a natural response to loss. It's the mind's way of clinging to what felt safe and meaningful. By focusing on the good times, you temporarily shield yourself from the pain of the breakup. But this selective memory distorts the reality of the relationship. You start to see your ex as flawless or irreplaceable, convincing yourself that you'll never find someone who compares. This narrative keeps you stuck, unable to let go because you're holding onto an illusion. To break free from this trap, you need to confront the full picture of who your ex was, not just the version you've glorified in your mind. Start by reflecting honestly on the relationship. What were the challenges you faced together? Were there times when their actions hurt or disappointed you? This isn't about vilifying them. It's about balancing your perspective. Recognizing their flaws doesn't diminish the love you shared. It simply helps you see them as a complex, imperfect person. Another powerful way to dismantle the pedestal is to examine the dynamics of your attachment. Ask yourself, what did I truly admire about them? Were those qualities unique to them, or could I find similar traits in someone else, or even within myself? Often you'll discover that the things you valued most are not exclusive to your ex. Perhaps it was their kindness, ambition, or sense of humor that drew you to them. These traits exist in countless people, and they can also be cultivated within you. It's also important to challenge the idea that your ex was your everything. No one person can fulfill all your emotional, social, and personal needs. When you place someone on a pedestal, you give them power over your sense of self-worth and happiness. Detaching involves reclaiming that power and reminding yourself that you are whole and complete on your own. The love you once directed toward them can now be redirected toward yourself and your growth. Practically, this process can involve rewriting the story you tell yourself about the relationship. Instead of saying, "They were perfect for me," try reframing it as, "They were a part of my journey, but not the destination." Create a list of what you learned from the relationship, not just about love, but about yourself. Maybe they taught you how to communicate better, or maybe they revealed what you truly need in a partner. These lessons are gifts, even if the relationship didn't last. As you dismantle the pedestal, you'll begin to see your ex not as a perfect figure from your past, but as someone who was right for you at a specific time and no longer aligns with the person you are becoming. This shift in perspective is liberating. It allows you to honor the good times while releasing the fantasy that they were the only source of your happiness. Detachment isn't about erasing the love you felt. It's about seeing your ex for who they truly were, both their light and their shadow, and realizing that their role in your life has come to an end. By stepping away from the pedestal, you reclaim your vision of the future, one where your worth and joy are no longer tied to an idealized version of someone else. Healing begins with space, not just physical distance, but emotional and mental space to reclaim your sense of self. After a breakup, it's common to feel the presence of your ex everywhere, in the songs you shared, the places you frequented, or even the small routines of your day. These lingering connections act as subtle reminders of the relationship, keeping you emotionally tethered. An emotional detox is about creating an environment that nurtures your healing and allows you to focus fully on yourself. The first step in an emotional detox is establishing boundaries with your ex. This doesn't mean you have to harbor resentment or end things on bad terms. It simply means prioritizing your well-being. The no-contact rule is one of the most effective tools for achieving this. By temporarily cutting off communication, no calls, texts, or social media interactions, you create the necessary distance to regain emotional clarity. This break allows your mind to recalibrate and process the relationship without constant reminders pulling you back. But emotional detox isn't just about avoiding your ex. It's about addressing the subtle triggers that keep the connection alive in your mind. Start by taking inventory of your surroundings. Are there photos, gifts, or mementos that evoke memories of the relationship? These objects carry emotional weight and can reinforce feelings of longing or regret. You don't need to throw them away immediately, but consider storing them out of sight, somewhere you won't encounter them during your daily routine. This small act can create a surprising sense of relief as it removes visual reminders that keep your thoughts anchored to the past. Another aspect of emotional detox is rethinking your digital environment. Social media, in particular, can be a minefield of triggers. Seeing updates about your ex's life can reignite feelings of sadness or jealousy, making it harder to detach. Consider unfollowing or muting their accounts, not as a punitive action, but as a way to protect your emotional space. You don't need to know what they're doing or who they're with. Your focus should be on your own journey. As you create physical and digital distance, it's equally important to detox your mind. Breakups often leave us stuck in repetitive thought loops, replaying arguments, imagining different outcomes, or analyzing every detail of the relationship. To disrupt this cycle, practice mindfulness. Spend a few minutes each day observing your thoughts without judgment. When memories of your ex arise, acknowledge them and gently redirect your focus to the present moment. Meditation, deep breathing, or even a simple walk outside can help ground you and quiet the mental noise. Finally, fill the space you've created with activities that uplift and nurture you. Dive into hobbies, explore new interests, or reconnect with friends and family. These actions remind you that your life is rich and full, even without the relationship. The goal of an emotional detox isn't just to remove reminders of your ex. It's to make room for the person you're becoming. By cleansing your emotional environment, you lay the foundation for genuine healing. This detox isn't about avoidance or erasure. It's about creating space where you can reconnect with yourself and begin to rebuild. In this newfound space, you'll discover the strength to move forward, lighter, freer, and ready for the next chapter. Even after you've created space and begun to move forward, there are often lingering connections, subtle, invisible threads that tie you emotionally to your ex. These threads may not be obvious at first. They exist in the memories that surface uninvited, the routines you shared, and even the small ways you still think about them in your daily life. Breaking these emotional residues is essential to fully detach and reclaim your independence. Invisible threads often show up in moments that catch you off guard. Perhaps you find yourself reaching for your phone to share a story, only to stop when you remember there's no one on the other end. A favorite song, a particular scent, or a familiar location might unexpectedly pull you back into the emotions of the past. These threads act as reminders of the relationship, keeping it alive in your mind, even when it's no longer part of your reality. To break these threads, the first and most important step is awareness. Start by observing your reactions. When a memory or habit tied to your ex surfaces, ask yourself, what triggered this? Was it a specific place, an object, or an action? By identifying these triggers, you begin to take control of the narrative rather than letting it control you. Awareness is the key to loosening the grip these threads have on your emotions. Once you've identified the triggers, it's time to take deliberate action. Replace old associations with new ones. For example, if a particular park reminds you of walks you used to take together, visit a different park or try a new activity in the same space, like reading a book or practicing mindfulness. If a certain playlist stirs up emotions tied to road trips or quiet evenings, create a fresh playlist that reflects the person you are now. Music has a powerful effect on our emotions, and choosing uplifting or empowering songs can help shift your mindset. Breaking invisible threads also means redefining routines that you built together. Shared habits like cooking certain meals, watching specific shows, or visiting particular places can keep you anchored to the past. Instead of avoiding these routines entirely, reinvent them. Cook a new dish, start a different series, or explore new locations. By creating new associations, you gradually take ownership of these moments, removing the emotional weight they once carried. Another technique for releasing emotional residues is visualization. Close your eyes and picture the threads that connect you to your ex, each one representing a specific habit, thought, or memory. Imagine yourself holding scissors and cutting each thread one by one. As you cut them, visualize the weight lifting off your shoulders and your mind becoming clearer. Visualization is not just symbolic. It helps your brain process the act of letting go. This process takes time. Some threads are deeply rooted and breaking them requires patience and persistence. Celebrate small victories along the way. Each time you resist a trigger or create a new association, you're taking a meaningful step toward freedom. A breakup can leave you feeling like a part of yourself has been lost. When you've spent so much time building a life with someone else, it's easy to forget who you are outside of the relationship. Rediscovering yourself is not just about healing, it's about reconnecting with the person you've always been and exploring the parts of you that may have been neglected. This process is a cornerstone of detachment and lays the foundation for a stronger, more independent version of yourself. During a relationship, it's common for your identity to intertwine with your partner's. You adopt shared routines, mutual goals, and even preferences influenced by their likes and dislikes. While this connection is natural, it can sometimes blur the lines between your individual identity and the relationship itself. When the relationship ends, you're left wondering, who am I without them? This question, though unsettling, is a powerful invitation to rediscover your authentic self. The first step to reconnecting with yourself is reflection. Take time to think about the person you were before the relationship began. What hobbies brought you joy? What dreams and ambitions did you have? Write these down in a journal, and don't be surprised if some answers feel unfamiliar or buried. Relationships often require compromise, and it's normal for parts of your individuality to take a back seat. Now is your opportunity to bring them to the forefront again. As you reflect, also consider the lessons you've learned from the breakup. Every relationship shapes us in some way, and even painful endings have something to teach. Perhaps you've gained insight into what you value in a partner, or discovered the boundaries you need to maintain in future relationships. These lessons are invaluable, as they help you redefine your sense of self and what you want moving forward. Once you've started the process of self-reflection, the next step is to actively explore new experiences. Think of this phase as a blank canvas, an opportunity to paint a life that is entirely your own. Try activities you've always been curious about but never pursued, whether it's taking a dance class, learning a language, or starting a creative project. These new endeavors not only help you discover untapped passions, but also fill your life with excitement and purpose. Another key part of rediscovery is nurturing your relationships outside of romance. Friendships and family connections often take a back seat during relationships, but these bonds can be a source of immense strength and joy. Reach out to loved ones, plan time together, and lean on their support as you rebuild your sense of self. These connections remind you that your worth isn't tied to one person. It's woven into the fabric of your entire community. Don't forget to also prioritize self-care. This isn't just about indulging in spa days or treating yourself to your favorite meals, though those can be wonderful. Self-care means listening to your needs and honoring them. It's about setting boundaries, resting when you're tired, and investing in your physical and emotional well-being. These acts of self-love reinforce your independence and remind you of your inherent worth. Finally, give yourself permission to evolve. Rediscovering yourself after a breakup isn't about returning to who you were before. It's about becoming a more authentic and empowered version of yourself. Embrace the changes you've undergone and be open to the person you're growing into. Breakups may feel like endings, but they are also beginnings, a chance to reconnect with your core and rewrite your story. Through reflection, exploration, and self-care, you'll find that the person you're rediscovering is strong, resilient, and whole. Breakups create ripples that extend far beyond the immediate loss of a partner. These ripples affect how you view yourself, your relationships, and even your future. Understanding these emotional aftershocks is crucial to navigating the process of detachment. While the initial impact may feel overwhelming, each ripple offers an opportunity for self-awareness and growth. The first ripple is often identity disruption. A breakup can make you question your place in the world, especially if your identity became closely tied to the relationship. You might find yourself asking, "Who am I without them?" This is a natural reaction to the sudden change in your life's structure. Relationships often shape how we see ourselves, through shared goals, routines, and mutual validation. When those are removed, the resulting void can feel disorienting. The second ripple is the shift in emotional patterns. After a breakup, it's common to experience heightened emotions, sadness, anger, relief, or even numbness. These feelings can come in waves, catching you off guard when triggered by memories or reminders of the past. While these emotions may feel destabilizing, they are a normal response to the ending of something significant. Allowing yourself to feel them without judgment is essential for emotional processing. Another significant ripple is how breakups alter your perspective on love and connection. You might start questioning the dynamics of your past relationship, what worked, what didn't, and what you want to avoid in the future. These reflections can be both painful and illuminating. They help you understand the patterns you've developed in relationships, such as the roles you tend to play or the expectations you carry. This insight becomes a valuable tool for future connections, helping you set boundaries and communicate more effectively. The ripple effect also extends to your daily routines. Activities and spaces that once felt comforting may now feel empty or triggering. This disruption can create a sense of instability, as if the breakup has affected every corner of your life. However, it's also an invitation to rebuild your routines in a way that reflects who you are now. Creating new habits, exploring different environments, or even rearranging your living space can help you regain a sense of control. Lastly, the ripple effect often reveals your emotional resilience. Breakups test your ability to adapt, process pain, and rebuild. While these challenges are undeniably difficult, they also highlight your capacity to recover and grow. Each ripple, no matter how unsettling, is a reminder of your strength. Understanding these ripples doesn't make the pain disappear, but it helps you navigate the aftermath with clarity. Instead of feeling lost in the waves, you begin to recognize them as part of a larger process, one that reshapes your life and your sense of self in meaningful ways. When a relationship ends, it's not just the person you lose, it's also the habits and routines you built together. These habits, while comforting during the relationship, can feel empty or painful in their absence. To detach fully, it's crucial to replace these old emotional habits with new, healthier ones that serve your growth and well-being. One of the most challenging aspects of detachment is recognizing the habits that keep you stuck. Perhaps you've formed a routine of checking their social media, scrolling through old photos, or replaying conversations in your mind. These actions often feel automatic, but they perpetuate the connection to your ex, making it harder to let go. The first step to breaking these habits is awareness. Pay attention to when and why you engage in these behaviors. Is it out of loneliness? A desire for reassurance? Identifying the root cause helps you understand what needs to change. Once you've identified the habits tied to your ex, it's time to consciously replace them with alternatives. Instead of spending time scrolling through reminders of the relationship, redirect that energy into activities that bring you fulfillment. If evenings were once spent texting or calling them, use that time to read, journal, or try a new hobby. By substituting old habits with meaningful actions, you gradually create a life that feels enriching on its own. Building new habits also involves rethinking your physical and digital environment. Your surroundings often influence your behavior more than you realize. For instance, if your home is filled with items that remind you of your ex, it may be harder to emotionally detach. Rearrange your space, introduce new decor, or create a dedicated corner for self-reflection. Similarly, consider how your digital environment affects your emotions. Unfollow or mute accounts that trigger memories of the relationship, and instead, fill your feed with content that inspires and uplifts you. Another powerful way to build new emotional habits is by setting small, achievable goals for yourself. These goals don't need to be grand. They can be as simple as starting a morning stretch routine or committing to cooking one new recipe a week. The act of setting and achieving goals fosters a sense of progress and self-reliance, helping you focus on what you can control rather than what you've lost. Community and connection also play a key role in developing new habits. Reconnect with friends or family members you may have drifted away from during the relationship. Join groups or communities that align with your interests, such as fitness classes, book clubs, or volunteer organizations. Surrounding yourself with positive influences not only distracts from lingering feelings about your ex, but also introduces new dynamics that enrich your life. Finally, practice patience with yourself as you form these new habits. Change doesn't happen overnight, and there will be moments when old patterns resurface. Instead of criticizing yourself for slipping, acknowledge the progress you've made and gently redirect your focus. Consistency is more important than perfection, and each small step contributes to your journey of emotional detachment. Breaking free from emotional dependence after a breakup is both a challenge and an opportunity. Emotional independence means finding stability within yourself, without relying on someone else to validate your worth or fulfill your emotional needs. It's a shift from looking outward for happiness to building it from within, a fundamental step in the process of detachment. Emotional dependence often begins subtly. During the relationship, you may have leaned on your partner for comfort, validation, or a sense of purpose. Over time, these patterns can create a reliance that feels difficult to untangle once the relationship ends. Without that external support, you might feel lost or incomplete. However, this moment offers a chance to re-establish your sense of self and your ability to meet your own emotional needs. Reclaiming independence starts with recognizing where dependence still lingers. Reflect on the ways you relied on your ex during the relationship. Did they provide reassurance when you doubted yourself? Were they the person you turned to when life felt overwhelming? Identifying these patterns helps you understand what areas of your life need attention and growth. Once you've acknowledged these dependencies, the next step is to take deliberate action to meet those needs yourself. If you relied on your ex for emotional reassurance, practice self-validation. This can involve writing down affirmations, celebrating your achievements, or reminding yourself of your strengths during moments of self-doubt. If you leaned on them for motivation or structure, set small, actionable goals to build routines that energize and empower you. Building emotional independence also requires creating boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. It's easy to fall into the habit of seeking external validation, whether through social media, friends, or new romantic connections. While these interactions can provide temporary comfort, they often perpetuate the cycle of dependence. Instead, focus on developing internal sources of strength, such as hobbies, self-care routines, and personal achievements. Developing independence doesn't mean shutting others out. On the contrary, healthy connections with friends, family, and supportive communities can help you feel grounded and connected. The difference lies in how these relationships function. Instead of relying on them to fill emotional gaps, view them as enriching additions to your life, mutually supportive rather than one-sided. Emotional independence is also about learning to trust yourself. Breakups can shake your confidence, leading you to question your decisions or instincts. Rebuilding trust in yourself involves taking small steps, making choices that align with your values, and acknowledging the outcomes without harsh self-criticism. Over time, these actions restore your belief in your ability to navigate life's challenges. By focusing on your own growth and meeting your needs from within, you lay the foundation for future relationships that are healthier and more balanced. Emotional independence is not about isolation, it's about stability. It's a process of becoming your own anchor, capable of weathering life's uncertainties with resilience and strength. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood steps in the process of moving on. It's often seen as an act of reconciliation or an obligation to absolve someone of their mistakes. But in truth, forgiveness is a deeply personal process that has little to do with the other person and everything to do with lightening your emotional load. After a breakup, resentment can feel like a heavy weight, one that ties you to the past in ways that make detachment almost impossible. Resentment often arises from a sense of injustice, things that were said, promises that were broken, or actions that caused hurt. It's natural to feel anger or bitterness in response to these experiences. However, holding on to these emotions doesn't resolve them. It keeps them alive, replaying them in your mind and allowing them to affect your present. Forgiveness, in this sense, is not about dismissing or excusing what happened, but about choosing to release the hold those events have on you. Releasing resentment begins with acknowledgement. Take the time to reflect on what specifically caused the hurt. Was it a betrayal of trust, unkind words, or unmet expectations? Naming the source of your resentment allows you to process it more clearly. You might find it helpful to write these feelings down, not as a way of dwelling on them, but as a method of externalizing and understanding them. Once you've identified the cause, shift your focus to how this resentment affects you. Does it bring you peace, or does it leave you feeling drained and stuck? Understanding the impact of resentment can be a powerful motivator to let it go. This isn't about forcing yourself to move on prematurely. It's about gradually loosening the grip that anger and bitterness have on your emotions. Forgiveness also requires compassion, not necessarily for the other person, but for yourself. Breakups can make you hypercritical of your own actions and decisions. You might question whether you were at fault, whether you could have done something differently, or whether you were enough. This internal criticism fuels the cycle of resentment, making it harder to detach from the past. Treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend in your situation. Recognize that you did your best with the knowledge and tools you had at the time. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting or inviting someone back into your life. It's not about pretending the pain didn't happen. Instead, it's about removing the emotional charge from those memories. This might involve reframing the way you view the relationship, not as a failure, but as an experience that taught you something valuable about yourself and your needs. The act of forgiveness is quiet and internal. It doesn't require a conversation with your ex or an explicit moment of closure. It's a decision to stop carrying the weight of anger, even if the pain remains. Resentment ties you to the person who caused it, while forgiveness unties the knot and allows you to focus on your own growth and well-being. After a breakup, it's easy to feel as though the future is a blank space, an overwhelming void where your plans and dreams used to be. The life you imagined alongside someone else is no longer an option, leaving you uncertain about what comes next. This uncertainty, while daunting, is also a rare opportunity. Crafting a vision for your new life allows you to redefine what matters to you and take ownership of the path ahead. The process begins with reflection. Without the influence of a partner's expectations or preferences, you have the chance to ask yourself fundamental questions. What brings you joy? What do you value most? What kind of life do you want to lead? These questions might feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable at first, especially if you've spent a long time prioritizing someone else's needs. Take your time to explore these answers through journaling, meditation, or quiet contemplation. One effective approach to building a new vision is to break it into smaller, manageable pieces. Start with different aspects of your life: career, relationships, health, personal growth, and leisure. Within each category, think about what you'd like to achieve or improve. For example, in the area of personal growth, you might set a goal to learn a new skill or read a specific number of books in a year. In health, perhaps you want to try a new form of exercise or adopt a healthier diet. These goals don't need to be monumental. The key is to choose things that feel meaningful to you. As you outline your vision, allow room for flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and the person you are today might have different desires and priorities than the person you'll be in a year. Instead of rigidly committing to specific outcomes, focus on the general direction you'd like your life to take. This approach allows you to adapt while staying true to your core values and aspirations. Another important aspect of crafting a new vision is surrounding yourself with the right environment and support. Think about the people, spaces, and habits that align with your goals. Are there friendships you'd like to nurture or communities you'd like to join? Are there habits you'd like to adopt that encourage creativity, focus, or relaxation? These external factors play a significant role in shaping your internal mindset and supporting your journey. Visualization can also be a powerful tool in this process. Take a few minutes each day to imagine the life you want to create. Picture yourself thriving in the areas you've identified, feeling fulfilled and energized by your choices. This mental exercise reinforces your goals and helps shift your focus from the past to the possibilities ahead. As you craft this vision, it's important to approach the process with curiosity rather than pressure. This is not about creating a perfect plan or achieving every goal. It's about rediscovering what excites and motivates you and using that awareness to guide your actions. Each step you take, no matter how small, contributes to the life you're building. Detachment is more than a process of moving on from a relationship. It's a profound act of self-love. Each step you've taken along this journey has been a testament to your strength and resilience. It's not easy to face the pain of a breakup, let alone confront the habits, patterns, and emotional ties that keep you tethered to the past. But every choice you've made to prioritize your well-being has brought you closer to a life that reflects your true self. Take a moment to acknowledge how far you've come. Reflect on the milestones of your progress, no matter how small they may seem. Perhaps it was the decision to create space between you and your ex, the courage to confront your emotions honestly, or the simple act of choosing to get out of bed on a difficult day. These victories, while personal and quiet, are the foundation of your growth. Each one represents a step away from dependence and toward emotional freedom. Detachment is an empowering process because it shifts the focus back to you. It's not about erasing the relationship or denying its impact. It's about reclaiming the energy and attention you once directed outward and redirecting it inward. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you create room for new opportunities, experiences, and connections that align with your values and aspirations. This journey also teaches you to trust yourself again. Breakups can leave you doubting your instincts or questioning your worth. But through the process of detachment, you've rebuilt a relationship with yourself, one rooted in self-awareness and compassion. This trust becomes the cornerstone of your independence, allowing you to approach life's challenges and relationships with confidence and clarity. Now, as you look ahead, remember that detachment is not a destination, but an ongoing practice. There will be moments when old emotions resurface, and that's okay. These moments don't negate your progress. They're simply reminders of your humanity. What matters is how you respond to them, with the tools, insights, and strength you've cultivated along the way. As you continue this path, don't hesitate to share your journey with others. Your story, no matter how personal, has the power to inspire and uplift those who may be struggling with their own detachment. Whether through a conversation, a social post, or even just leading by example, your growth can serve as a beacon of hope for those who feel lost. Remember, detachment is an act of self-love that reaffirms your worth and reinforces your capacity to thrive on your own terms. By choosing yourself, you've unlocked the freedom to design a life that reflects who you truly are, a life filled with authenticity, strength, and endless possibility. If this guide has helped you in your journey of detachment and growth, consider supporting our channel by becoming a member. Your membership helps us continue creating content that uplifts and inspires. And if you found this video meaningful, don't forget to show your appreciation by giving it a super thanks. It's a small gesture that makes a big difference. Together, let's keep building a community focused on healing and empowerment. Thank you for watching.